Alright, so today I thought I'd tell you a little story about my jewelry business and how I go about approaching shops and stocking new shops regularly. So on Monday morning, I decided that I was going to go out and find some new shops. But before I did that, I needed to do some research and ask a few people and look online to see where there might be some shops that are actually genuinely suited to my target audience. Because in the past, I've stocked loads of shops and online and in-person physical shops, and it's just not really been the right fit. So it's just been, the stock's been sitting there dead, getting all tarnished, and it really just didn't do as well as I thought it would. Because in the beginning, we get super excited and just want to say yes to any shop that offers to stock our jewelry. And I know I did that in the beginning, and then you kind of just get a bit disheartened because it isn't really selling, or it's in a really quiet street, or it's an online platform that hasn't got any audience. And so I slowly just took a lot of my stuff out of those places because they weren't even performing very well and it just wasn't really working. But now, further down the line, having a really clear idea of my target audience, I'm able to really pinpoint which shops to approach to save myself the time. So on Monday morning, I did some research, found 4 shops, and then went out in the afternoon to go and look at those shops. Obviously, I put on a bunch of my jewelry and pretended that it was just super casual and that I hadn't planned all of this. Walked into the shop and then started to talk to them, figure out a bit more information, like are they the owner of the shop, and just get an idea of if they would be interested. So 3 out of the 4 shops said yes, they would like to see some more samples. So we agreed the next day I would come in and show them some samples. So obviously I prepared all of this beforehand because you need to be able to be there and ready the next day if that's what they want. If that's what they want from you. So not take another month or 2 or weeks to then come back and show them the stock, because you really want to strike while the iron is hot. So it's like, okay, great, see you tomorrow, perfect, set a time, 11 a.m, let's go. So I went down to see all the different shops the next day with some stock, and I conveniently brought some stock that they could keep as well. So I put all the pricing on all of the pieces as well. Little time consuming, yes, but it was worth it because some of the shops just actually took the stock on the spot. So that was great. So I kind of set different collections that I thought would work well for certain shops. So I preempted which pieces I thought they would like, because obviously I have different collections and slightly different styles within my brand. So went off there and then had a look and spoke to them. And then out of those 3, one of them actually is a physical store that has 3 locations, but 2 of them actually stock jewelry. So they're going to take jewelry for both of those. So that's super exciting. And yeah, so that is basically it really is so important to do that research beforehand. I was having a really nice conversation with the owner of one of the shops, and he was saying that he gets emailed about 10 times a day with people interested in stocking his shop because they're like, oh, it's a really nice shop. You want to stock my stuff? But he gets infinitely frustrated because people don't do the research and they just email you. Think of it like cold DMs, where they're just like bombarding you with emails and messages, and they don't know anything about your brand, they haven't done the research, and it just doesn't even fit, and they don't stock anything vaguely similar, and it's just completely out of context. So that's really draining on a shop owner, because obviously if your stuff is good and it works well with the shop, then he's happy to take a look and have a conversation about it. But what I really like is the fact that when you go in person, it really does make you stand out. But if you're going the email route, because you are not really, not able to get to the shop, maybe it's further afield, then you need to send an email. So there's different ways to pitch. So actually in the course I go on about explaining how to pitch to make sure that you don't get just ignored like the shop owner was saying he does with 99% of the emails. He doesn't even respond to them. And it's just really, really important to have an idea of your target audience to save you and them all the hassle. Because if it's a symbiotic relationship and your jewelry will work well in the shop and they can see that the jewelry will fit well, it's just so much easier to collaborate with them. And that is something that a lot of people overlook, and they think just the more the merrier. And that's actually really not the case. So being more selective is actually better, because then your products will perform a lot better, they'll be a lot happier, you'll be a lot happier, and you don't need to have loads and loads of stock sitting dead in lots of shops and not selling. So another important thing to think about if you do want to go down the route of stocking shops is that you need to price your jewelry differently if you're only going the retail route, so selling directly to your target audience at markets or online on your own website or Etsy, that's where you are, then it's a bit different to the way that you need to price if you're going to do wholesale, because you obviously need to be okay with the amount that you're getting on the wholesale price. So it needs to also, the shop needs to be able to mark it up, whatever percentage. So there's different things to consider about that. I'm actually going to do another refreshed video all about pricing soon. So keep an eye out for that one. Make sure you subscribed if you're not already, so you don't miss that one. But I'm going to talk a bit more in depth about pricing and the different ways about doing that and helping you out with that as well. One of the reasons that I absolutely love working with wholesale is because it allows my jewelry to be seen by so many more people than if it's just me having to physically be at a market or online. So it just expands on what I already have and it just pushes it out there even further. Often what happens is that people see your work in a shop and they may not buy it because they're in a rush or they're with a family or friends and they want to buy it for them and they're there and they want to buy a present for them afterwards or for themselves later. Then they can come to my website and then they buy it from there. And that has happened to me numerous times from different shops. But what's important to remember there is that you want to have the same price in the shop and on your online store. So there isn't a big difference between the prices, because if you're undercutting the shop, they're not going to be very happy with you because they will see it online and go, well, so much cheaper there. Why would I buy it from the shop? Then the shop's unhappy because the stock is just sitting there dead and not selling. It's great for you at first because you're getting loads of sales, but then the shop isn't going to want to work with you anymore. Then they're going to remove your jewelry from their shop and then you won't be getting any of that traffic to your own store. So that's why it's really important to have a good relationship with the shop and make sure that you are selling the things at the same price. So the reason that I also like wholesale is because I can put my stuff in 10 shops, for example, and if, for example, they're all bringing me in around 100 euros a month minimum on average, plus minus, then I have 10 shops, that's going to make me 1,000 euros a month. And I am not doing anything after putting the stock in the shop, and that's really great. The reason that I like this and it works well for me and my business model is because I've slowly started outsourcing more and more things within my business in terms of the jewelry making. So not everything is made elsewhere, but a few things are. So the things that take a bit longer, and that really helps to speed up the process in terms of restocking shops, making sure that everybody has enough stock, and I'm not scared to go and approach more shops because I'm able to continue stocking them all. So that's in that way, I can go and approach another 5 shops next week if I want, or another 5 shops the following week. And if they say yes, then I'm good to go and I'm happy with doing that. And the business just keeps on growing like that. Even, for example, one of the shops I approached, they actually have 2 stores. And so they replied and said, yes, can you stock them both? So that's 2 for the price of 1. Fantastic, great. And they know that it's going to sell well there because it's really the same target audience. So we're really happy to work together and super exciting. So obviously in terms of you need to figure out what you feel is the best way that you can move forward. And if you feel like you're making really complex, complicated pieces that take you a really long time to make, then make sure that you're pricing them accordingly so that it's worth your time in doing that. Because otherwise you're going to start feeling really overwhelmed, really resentful when you have to make those pieces because you don't feel like the exchange is good enough for the money for your time. So make sure that the kind of pieces that you are making, if you are going the wholesale route, are priced correctly and you're happy to make those on bulk because that's what's going to happen. So make sure that you think carefully about that before you even begin approaching shops, to consider that and think about different ways of making if that's something you want to do, if that's necessary. Obviously, this might all sound rather overwhelming. I actually go into more detail in my course, so looking at your business foundations and figuring out what's the best method for you. So I have a lot of deep questions that can help you really really figure out what is the best business model for you specifically, and then also figuring out your target audience, and also talking a lot more about wholesale and scaling your business further. So if you're interested in that, then that is out there and it is open for everybody. So have a look at that if you're interested. There'll be a link in the description. And the first call, so we have group calls every 2 weeks, and the first one is on the 15th of September. So make sure that you join and sign up there if you want to start getting that feedback, because then I can actually answer the questions directly and specifically with your business and help give you that clarity that you may need. Anyway, I hope you have a beautiful and lovely week, and I look forward to seeing you next week in another video. Bye!